Hey there, and welcome to this installment of coverage from The Big One, which is a charity tournament put on by The Final Swindle, care of Karen and Zaramis. So without further ado, you should see on your screen the matchup for this particular game. And if you want further details, they'll be in the video description below. Let's hop into it. Vaft's here. Thank you for the feature earlier. Hope I can watch it back later. Hey, happy to do it. Thanks for the great game. We've been having some pretty awesome games today, so very excited about that. All right, we have Introspectively Dorky Cinnador. This is a Logo Starlines Untamed Worlds Collide deck. Looks like we get the Zaramis is like, Zaramis is like, hey, check out my daughter, and then Phalanx Trick is like, hold my beer. Ooh, Whale of the Dam though, so that's good.
Good response. Yep.
Very nice response.
Ooh, Eaton's Jar. What are they gonna pick with Eaton's Jar?
Oh, Eddie.
Unnatural selection cannot be played.
Eddie. Oh, unnatural selection. Does this have an Eddie? It doesn't.
It has 3 Eddies and 3 unnatural selections, so Zaramis is actually less worried about the Eddies.
Yeah, very interesting.
Zaramis, this is a mass mutation grindy deck, so I think Zaramis wants to guarantee having a big board. Right, and if all of your board wipes are named unnatural selection, it's going to be a bit tougher because I'm not seeing much removal. There's no mass removal. It looks like there is a red alert, but the red alert is the only thing.
Sure. And in my experience, red alert never shows up when you want it to show up. So we'll see if that continues to be the case for other people. So we do have. This is so the other deck we're playing, or Zaramis has, is Savant Helena, Tower Peacemaker. So I'll just keep that up for a second. We got the triple daughter, so triple daughter instead of the triple Eddie. Triple Eddie in mass mutation would be a feat of unending luck at this point to have a deck generated like that. Is it quad daughter? I'm sorry, it's quad daughter, not even triple. So a very interesting deck, and then of course introspectively Dorky Cinnador being piloted by Phalanx Strike.
This is the Little Women deck with 4 daughters.
What's going on, Will? Shogun says, time for Helena.
Is Phalanx Strike getting a Light of the Archons onto Harmonia?
Is Eye of Judgment in mass mutation? Is it? I did.
Yes.
Is this a legacy? Okay.
No. It's a Eye of Judgment is a mass mutation card, I believe.
Well, it's been around before. I think, is it Coda? It's something else.
No, it wasn't a Coda card. Perhaps Worlds Collide.
Well, Eye of Judgment is Sanctum, I think. So probably wasn't around. I'm just curious now because Eye of Judgment.
Oh, AOA.
AOA. There you go.
AOA first. Look at that.
There you go.
Getting learned.
But it is in mass mutation. You are right. It looks like it's just one of those rares that didn't happen upon. So the Infernus, it looks like the Infernus purged the Zenzi.
Yes. Yeah. And just the Zenzi. The Zenzi.
I would expect that's probably because that was the only thing in the discard at the time. But
Lord Golgotha doing work. Great card, Lord Golgotha.
Oh my gosh. Lord Golgotha is lovely. We do also have the Eye of Judgment, so maybe, I don't know. I guess that's what was purged. Yeah, so Zenzi purged with the Infernus, Eye of Judgment purging the Kinkan, and then Ardent Hero to fight Harmonia.
Zaramis certainly prioritizing having an advantage over having their own big deck here, playing towards maximizing that advantage. Getting an Eddie inside Taunt. Which I know with Eaton's Jar, many people would have picked Eddie, and honestly, that might not be a wrong call. I do love the pick of Unnatural Selection here, because that's also Amber, right? That also keeps...
Oh, here's another here's another thought for you. Sorry to interrupt. But if we go back to the Eye of Judgment, maybe the thought is the unnatural selections are a better pick because you can't purge them out of the discard pile with the Eye of Judgment.
You can purge Eddie out of the discard pile with
You can purge the Eddies.
Smart.
So I wonder if that is part of the play. Certainly seems like it could be an interesting synergy. Thus, the triple unnatural selection are just going to be a constant 3 dud cards, unless you can stuff them away with an Eddy, which of course then you're like, all right, well, I'll just never pick my archives.
We got red alert, big red alert coming out, which we know was the one other board wipe. And I missed it. Failing Strike has actually forged a key now, and so they are a couple steps ahead of Zaramis here,
and definitely pulling ahead on the board too. So it'll be no longer. why do I even say this?
Say something that summons a big play.
All right, so this would be a good
Infernus
test. Let's see what Infernus goes for. I sort of suspect it's going to be maybe something that isn't. I mean, maybe there's like a high enough density of creatures that you might want to get rid of. That like getting rid of spears could be good. All right, okay, Red Alert and Harmonia.
So the board wipe now, even once Phalanx Strike flips, or yes, I keep thinking that's a card name, not a person's name. Once Phalanx flips, then they won't have a board wipe left.
I can see how Zaramis would classify this as a grindy deck.
Yes.
I think it just like slowly works towards. Probably does well against a deck like this that is looking for high cycle, trying to get through to their cards again. If the deck can manage, if Zaramis can manage to remove
Purge
from the
all
deck.
Yeah. And you can tell with the Eaton's Jar choice and with the purging choices that Zaramis, most people would have gone for the Eddy by now, but Zaramis says, my goal is to win on the board. I'm going to Eaton's Jar. I'm going to Eaton's Jar, Eye of Judgment, and Infernus, all of your tools that let you deal with the big board, and then I'm going to take the game over.
The triple unnatural selection.
The pain. The pain.
It's so good.
I'm going to send Phalanx Strike a fruit basket just to in sympathy.
Oh, man.
My goodness. Wow. Wow, a whole lot of damage pips being sent towards that imprinted Murmook here. So Zaramis, this is great because Zaramis behind on key, right? But having some Amber control, getting two daughters out, getting lots of purge done. So you see the work being done to set Zaramis up for their mid and late game. They're like, you see Zaramis setting up for their win condition, right? Which is pretty unique to this deck. I mean, decks want to win with big boards. Those are common. But this has Infernus, Eye of Judgment, and Eaton's Jar, so that Zaramis can say, okay, what are the answers to my deck? In the first rotation of all our decks, nobody's going to really get any keys or anything. I'm just going to get rid of all your tools. Then I'm going to dump the game, is what I'm thinking they're doing here. And I love it.
Yeah, this is another just really, really cool deck. And certainly so cool to see it piloted by someone who's come up with this kind of strategy. Again, I think it's another great example of a deck that, like, if I were to just look at it, I mean, obviously has some great, really cool stuff going for it, but just the way you could play this deck so differently, and this is such a fun and interesting way to play this, very cerebral way to play this. I feel like it takes a huge amount of patience too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Wethel saying also the auto encoder is great for speeding up the deck. Very true. You do need that speed, getting double value off of Novu Dynamo for that. That is pretty fantastic.
Now, did we get a discard off the Dynamo? Yeah, to discard the Titan Engineer. Not getting the sneaky check because of that Eddy across the way. But certainly still just kind of slowly burning up. Building board presence, slowly generating Ember. It is interesting. Doesn't necessarily seem to be a huge preference towards generating a bunch of Ember at this point. Just very kind of calm, calculated, plodding along, working towards setting up all the pieces, it seems, that will be necessary to kind of advance that win condition. We are at a point where Phalanx Strike could potentially flip the deck, which I don't know. A lot of damage has already been done.
Yes,
a lot of damage is certainly like comeback stuff like Harmonia. That's a really nice pick to get purged as well, because I assume Zaramis is intending to be ahead on the board. So Harmonia represents a card that can help to kind of bridge that gap in the board disparity. interesting. Code Monkey comes down, archiving the...
I'm not going to get Amber off of it, but yeah, it does come down. And that, that archives the reassembling automaton, which removes that discombobulator from play.
It does increase key cost even further, though, with that eddy.
I see. Keeping the eddy out to pump the key cost up. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if it's, the most important thing to prevent the forge right there, unless Failing Strike is setting up for some amber control they want to trigger at a high key cost. But yeah, there goes the eddy on a disc turn. So as long as it stays in there. Oh, that might be something Failing Strike wants to prioritize next turn, is making sure they're playing enough cards to make sure they're trying to draw at least 3 so that they'll cycle and escape the Eye of Judgment.
Yeah. And Zaramis has already cycled all the way through, so that discard pile is empty. We do see a Star Alliance turn. That Book of LEQ just got mind fired. So long on that one. Chief Engineer Walls has some options. Does Chief Engineer Walls has to pick up a card? Oh, you may return. Okay.
Yeah, you may.
Does not opt to pick up the discombobulator, I guess. No, I'm sorry. It got Light of the Archons.
Light of the Archons. That makes sense. Putting that on the Kirby. Yep. So we are going to finally see a key from Zaramis here. We've got a Walls and a Kirby on the board. There's a Molina, and then the Fog Bank is in effect preventing any fighting, which is a good situation.
Sure. And we see the archives get picked up. Looks like we're going to have a Sanctum turn. Looks like that Eye of Judgment isn't going to have any offensive effect with Failing Strike having cycled over their deck. Could still be used. I guess when I say offensively, I mean used on the opponent's discard pile. Could still be used here. No fighting. I guess there's no creatures on the board to fight with. And it looks like we're going to have a little auto encoder discard on top of double Burning Glare to stun the Kirby and the Walls. That's not bad. Up to 5 Ember, which is of course a sneaky, the sneaky Dynamo check.
Yes. Gotta love sneaky check. So yeah, that is check for the second key. Check for the second key as they keep Failing Strike. Failing Strike got that first key early on in the game, relatively speaking, and hasn't been allowed to do much since then. So we're really seeing Zaramis's game plan start to play out here.
Here comes an eddy again. Gonna keep pumping those archives. The Wild Wormhole plays to get a second eddy. Nice. Wild Wormhole into the other eddy. That's cool.
Yep.
So key cost currently at 16 for Zaramis.
Oh, wow. Disc turn, Infernus fighting eddy.
Oh, I wonder if Potion of Invulnerability was meant to be activated to try. Or maybe they just missed the Molina. I guess that could also be it.
Yeah, I believe they missed the Molina because then that Infernus went to the discard, I believe. Yeah.
The Infernus did have a damage. The second Infernus, the one that got played out. That's
how the damage got on there. Yep.
And then Hysterkrog was able to kill that one.
Love that from there.
But still, key cost sitting at 11 with just a single eddy on the board. I think the Molina must just have been missed on that one. And of course that the Infernus that fought already had 2 or 3 damage or something on it.
Yes, yeah, that's the oops from Zaramis in the chat there.
Lord Winter says lost to Phalanx, had a good run though. Indeed. You're that Cincinnati's Rex deck you were playing. That was a treat to watch. I imagine difficult to play against.
Yes. That's the great thing about KeyForge, right? In a constructed game, that would be just the broken combo deck that makes people quit the game and they have to errata the heck out of it. In this game, there's going to be silver bullets, right? Even with your Periardian, secondary thing. So Phalanx Strike doing really well given how torn apart their deck has become with 6 purge cards. They're on check for their second key for 6, and they are keeping that key cost up with Eddies and a Discombobulator on that Kirby so far. So definitely doing well. Whale of the Dam taking that Eddie out. Hystericog destroying the other Eddie. Excuse me, destroying the Kirby. Ooh, Pandemonium. Pandemonium.
Oh dear.
Woo! It looks like Christmas lights going up with the amber just spreading out across all the...
Nice sequencing there too.
Lights.
Nice sequencing there too to Pandemonium before the Snorret. To just kind of delete some of that ember, and looks like now we've reached the point of the game where Zaramis is kind of like, well, maybe I'll generate some ember now, maybe I'll try and win the game. Or like,
now I reap out. Double Brabble is good for that. I love Brabble because it's just going to keep reaping until your opponent can kill it when they're low on amber, right? Just absolutely draining the bank account with a Pandemonium there. Absolutely draining the bank account.
Well, and unlike
still on check.
Unlike what you were mentioning earlier with creatures that have the destroyed steel ability, Brabble scales a little bit better because if your opponent destroys Brabble, it's 3 ember is lost, so you can bank a little bit more ember on those Brabbles before you hit that equilibrium where if you've got 3 ember on the Brabble, then it's kind of a little bit more equal as opposed to the destroyed trigger on a bunch of those kind of weird half and half creatures.
Got a Fangtooth Cavern out on the board now, and the fittest on Phalanx's last turn.
Oh, so long, Fangtooth.
Yep.
All right, on to check for the third key. Looks like Sloppy Lab Work. Some nice synergy with Sloppy Lab Work and the autoencoder. We've got 3 daughters on the board.
Yep. Almost all of the little women we're going.
We got Eddie coming back, just trying to stave off this key. And we get a discard off of the Nobu Dynamo up to 9. Still not enough.
12 key costs, 6 cards in archives. Yep, there goes the Eddie off of the Whale of the Damned. And I think this is just reaping out to go as high as possible in case an Eddie can cycle through somewhere. I'm checking discard and purge. I think we're accounting for all of the Eddies here.
Sure.
Oh, yep. Yeah, 2 Eddies purged, 1 more in discard.
That is
2 Eddies purged, 1 more in discard.
Definite dire straits here. Dire straits. Boy, I bet at this point, Phalanx Strike, not that it matters, is probably looking at that purge pile and be like, oh, my red alert. Come back.
And that's going to be game as Phalanx Strike says, that'll do it. Zaramis says, sorry to knock you out, my friend. KeyForge is a game of friendship, but not of mercy. And that'll do it for Phalanx Strike.
I love
GG. Oh, yeah, great game. And very smart playing from Phalanx Strike. Their deck was being torn apart all around them, and I think we saw some really smart, good plays. And the deck they're piloting just didn't happen to have an answer to Eaton's Jar or some of these other things here. So, but they played it real smart in a tough matchup. As Zaramis took it. Yeah, sure. Very well played. Love it.
It seems to me like the in terms of matchups, you got like this introspectively dorky Cinnador is like a pretty high like efficiency type deck. Not necessarily this one that generates a huge amount of ember, but can kind of cycle very quickly. So the deck that the Zaramis is playing is kind of like almost the antithesis to that type of deck. Not that Helena isn't fast, because quad daughters ends up being pretty speedy, but it just kind of like it has the staying power to kind of hold off long enough and do enough work to kind of disassemble and remove the pieces that Phalanx Strike was trying to get back to, or that Phalanx Strike's deck wants to get back to, and just kind of cycle through and play over and over again. So it's just kind of it's a great example of how how matchups can really just change how a deck performs. And I'm sure there are some decks that this deck Zaramis is plays against and just has a really rough time because maybe the deck isn't necessarily interested in cycling back all that much, has just enough potency and enough speed to do things on its own the first time around. But it's just pretty cool to see, and that's I think one thing we've seen a lot of today is obviously a huge variety of different play styles for these decks, and it's so cool.
And what's great about Zaramis's deck here is, as we talked about earlier, we've got Zaramis confirming in chat, stopping my keys is not really something Helena cares about until many turns in. Hence why I didn't eat in the Eddies. What I love about Zaramis's deck and how they piloted it is that there's Eaton's Jar, Double Infernus, Eye of Judgment. All of those are tools that let you say, okay, what does my matchup look like? What tools do I need to remove so that I have my strengths and they don't have their strengths? Right? And that's a complicated thing to figure out in each game, which is rewarded by just practice, experience, and intuition. And Zaramis showed exactly how to do that in the matchup here. So
well, and not to mention too the obviously being able to identify to understand understand their deck well enough to know Zaramis's deck, to know what are the weak points, what you need to get rid of, and not only identify, but in the face of an opponent who's moving relatively quickly. Phalanx Strike was moving pretty quickly, generating Ember early on, to have the to kind of have the patience to trust your own deck and know that, okay, I need to use these Infernuses and this Eaton's Jar not to proactively remove Ember from my opponent, but instead I need to disassemble, I need to take away the key cards that their deck has that's going to give me a hard time. And I think that, personally, that's something I struggle with, because I'm like, oh, well, I could maybe try and do something that is going to help me out later by removing Red Alert or some type of something that I don't want to have played against me again. But there's a lot of times where, especially with Infernus, where I'm like, or I could just I don't know, get rid of a couple Ember. So mad kudos to Zaramis for sticking to the game plan, for knowing the game plan and executing it well and sticking to it.